What's up, you guys? My name is Jim, and today we're going to be going over what the applications look like for the EVO Shift and the OSMO Mobile. So we're going to get into that right away. I have these two apps. I have the EVO Shift app, and then I have the DJI Go app. These are the two apps that you have to download for each gimbal. Download them from the App Store, and let's get right into it right now. We're going to pop open the EVO Shift app right now. And it's going to bring you to a screen that says connect your device. I'm going to set it up. I'm going to connect the device to set the gimbal up so it's connected to the phone and the app, and we'll go from there. So right now, this is the EVO Shift app. You sync it up, go through Bluetooth. It's on its gimbal right now. So it's all paired up. We're not going to be doing a lot with it. I'm just going to be doing a little overview of what the options are on the screen. This button right here, pop this open, is your pictures and video. All the things that you record on the app have like a save area for all your photos and videos. Speaking of photos, there is a switch right up top which goes from video to photo. So now it's in video mode, and then we'll switch back to photo for now. And then you got your home button. So your home button just brings you back to the beginning of the app, which we don't need right now. We're gonna just go back and connect the device to the EVO. All right, now we're back to the main look here, and let's keep going. It's in photo mode right now. That's fine. We got through the home button. We understand what the home button does. Let's go to the bottom. So this bottom button right here, this like circular looking Pokeball looking thing at the bottom, that is your motion detection. You pop that on, you hold your finger down on the screen at your subject, and then your gimbal is ready to detect and keep on your subject. So the next button up here up top, we have our settings. You got your panoramic kind of settings here up on top. You can calibrate your gimbal. So it just tells you what you have to do to calibrate it so it's perfectly dead on straight. And then you have some other stuff where you can tweak personally what your personal preferences are with the motion of the gimbal, the speed of the gimbal, and all of that. So that's pretty cool that you can really dive deep and make it super specific to your liking. And then this is just the background information. It's the EVO Shift and the software version. Not really important. And then there's a live custom mode. Not actually sure what that does, but I could figure that out in a later video. Right now, the next button down here is single panoramic, long exposure. So you can really get into fine detail with what you want to do with your gimbal. So if you want to do a long exposure shot, your gimbal it's nice to have it maybe on like a tripod. If you're shooting something at night and want to get long exposure, you can do that and have the gimbal steady on a tripod. You have your single shot, your panoramic shot. It does panoramic shot pretty well. That's really cool. 25 seconds, 55 seconds. These are just the timings for the panoramic, long exposure, and such. You have an HDR mode, which is cool too. So let's get out of that. The next one down is the resolution, the white balance, manual mode, grid, and flash. I mean, these are all things that should be familiar to you on other applications, other cameras. You can choose your 30 frames per second at 720, 1080, 920 by 1080, which is YouTube. Usually it's like the YouTube standard basically. And then you have like your 4K stuff, and you get 4K at 30 frames per second, so that's kind of cool. Then you have your photos. You have your 1080 photos, your 4K photos, and higher res photos that you can take through the app. That's pretty cool. I didn't even know about that. Then the next button down here, which looks like the gimbal, pop that open. We have different modes. There's a walking mode, which I usually have it on because I'm usually doing slower video footage, so I want that to match up. And then you have motion, and that's for like the fast-paced stuff, and it really kind of keeps up with like how much you're moving and running. It really keeps it nice and stable. And then for the slower cinematic stuff that you want to kind of get, you kind of use the walking, so everything's even more stable and everything is smooth. It just calibrates it to what your movement is. So I suggest when you have this app to utilize these because it really does affect your footage. Remote control. I don't have a remote control for this gimbal, but you can get one, and basically you can have it on a tripod. I don't have a tripod for this, but you can have a tripod that screws into the bottom of this, and basically you can control the camera and the gimbal through the remote control. So there's another option for you. And the next one down, the last button down here, is the filters. So you have filters for your different type of, definitely changes changes completely what you want. So these are all just preloaded onto the app if you want to use them. I don't use them. I usually just do editing in post and change in color grade in post. But if you like to use these things here, you have the option to there. This is the application for the EVO Shift, and we'll go on to the next app. All right, so now we have the DJI OSMO Mobile App. We are going to connect the device to the gimbal. Well, it looks like it's already connected, so we're just gonna kind of go with that. All right, so now it's connected. I was having a little trouble with that before. We have our switch to camera mode button up top, so you can take pictures just like the OSMO Mobile. So when you switch, so it has some options. When you switch over, it kind of changes of the display here. So let me tap it again, see what happens. So let's go through the camera stuff real quick. So if you're using this to take pictures, which you can, which is really cool, you have your panoramic, you have your long exposure, just like the EVO Shift. You have your single mode, you have 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and HDR mode, very similar to the EVO Shift. Then you have a playback button of all your videos on here, and I have my cat. So here's your motion detection button at the bottom. You tap that and then you find a object, and now it's on the object. So that's kind of cool. So that's actually right now live reading that object, and yeah, it's just gonna stay on that object, as you can kind of tell, and see how it's kind of like freaking out a little bit as I'm trying to, yeah, it's the motion detection on this I've been having some problems with, so you can kind of tell from this angle. I'm not gonna go into full detail with it, but it's just not reading it correctly. We're having some problems with this guy with the motion detection. Let's get this back in focus. All right, so the next button up top is the home button, which probably just brings you back to the intro page of this app, which we don't want to do. So we're going to skip over that. The next button is beauty effects. You can basically just change the brightness of your footage, brighten, darken, whatever you want to do with that. Then you have the manual adjust mode, so to turn that on, and it looks like it's not going to do the manual adjust. We're having some issues with that. I don't really use this section, it doesn't really bug me too much. Auto white balance, cloudy, sunny, rainy, kind of just changes your temperature of your video or picture. There's a grid mode, turn on your grid line so you can be right on spot with your subject matter, so that's kind of cool. We'll back out of that. And then the last one is flash. I mean, I don't know anyone who would use flash. Just a very ugly, in my opinion, very ugly type of photo. We're gonna take that grid off. You have your scene mode, your walk and sports mode, similar to the EVO Shift, where it's more calibrated for slow moving, whereas you switch to sports mode, it's more for fast-paced turning. So as I'm turning, as you can tell by just turning the gimbal, just like that, it's quickly panning. And then I go to walk mode, it's nice and slow as I'm turning. It's kind of like on a lag almost, which makes the footage look really nice in walk mode. Let's get out of that. And I always keep it in walk mode because I'm usually doing more cinematic video. And the last button is our settings. So you have your camera settings, you have your video resolution, 30 frames per second, all the way down to 60 frames per second. And then you got it at 720, 1080, 1080, and 2160. Which I believe is 4K. Oh, yeah, it says right there 4K at the top. So that's cool. You can change your resolution on that as well. So let's switch it back to camera mode. Let's see what the only thing, looks like the only thing that changed is this button right here. So let's pop that open. So you have a slow motion option, you have a time lapse option, a hyperlapse option, and a motion lapse option. I believe with one of these, with the motion lapse, you can actually guide your gimbal, like record your guided motion, and it will record it just like that in that time lapse, so you don't have to do it again. So basically, you know, you just get that motion, you get the footage of what's inside that motion, what's behind that motion. So it records, you know, if I want to go top bottom and capture things from top to bottom, it does that. So it's usually based upon, maybe if you had like a tripod, I think it would work best, but you have that option, which is really kind of cool. That is basically the applications. Oh, and I forgot too, that when you have the app, you can press the record button and it starts recording. You don't have to tap the screen, you just got the record button and it starts recording, and it's really nice. And you tap it again and it stops recording. When you're in the app, or without the app too, I believe the joystick just controls the up and down motion of your gimbal and your side to side too. So if you wanted to keep your hands steady and just use your thumb, you can do that. And that's about it for this gimbal. Alright you guys, so I hope that kind of gives you a brief overview of what the applications look like on the iPhone between the DJI Go app and the EVO Gimbal app. Hopefully that gave you some insight. Hopefully that helped you out. And if you have any other questions, leave a comment in the comment section down below and I'll try to get back to you on that. In a previous video, someone asked if I could do a motion detection comparison, and I've been having problems, as you could tell in the video earlier, that the DJI motion detection is not really working for me. I'm not sure if it's just my gimbal or it's just a software issue. I'm not sure. It's just not working. So I would like to do that video for you guys, but until this thing works or doesn't work, I'll just have to do maybe a motion detection review on the EVO Shift instead. I will see what I can do for you guys. But that's gonna end it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button on top if you like the content on this page. Turn on that little notification bell at the top so you know when I post the next video. And leave a comment in the comment section down below if you have any other questions. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.